feet of the chain run. And how do you do that? First 6 seconds, point A to point B, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go.
Welcome to the Scoop World Order, new Jamarion Williams running back commitment edition. We have a new running back offer that is out. It looks like he's going to be our guy for the 2023 class. He is a kid that is ultra productive, Georgia kid, playing great in the playoffs, leader. I love everything about him. I think that this might be a diamond in the rough. I think this is going to be a guy that people are going to love once he starts carrying the ball for the Buckeyes. So we're going to get into that. We have some film of him. I have Nevadabuck joining me to give us some of the details and some of the intel that he has on the kid. Super excited about Jamarion Wilcox. But first, as always, we're thankful and grateful for you guys. Hope you guys are having a great Thanksgiving week. I hope you guys are ready to beat Michigan. If you are ready to beat Michigan, get on BuckeyeScoop.com. We have had wall-to-wall coverage. We are working. We're filming this on a Sunday. We were working all day. Me and Nevadabuck, all separate columns, all analyzing the Maryland game, the Michigan game. We're going to have a ton of content. This will probably be the biggest content week that we've ever had in the history of the Scoop. So if there is ever a time we should join BuckeyeScoop.com, it is right now, because we have the inside goods on what's going on inside the Woody Hayes to beat Michigan. But as always, if you could like this video, we would appreciate it. Comment down below after you watch this film, who does he remind you of? He's 5'9", about 200 pounds, kind of a stump, powerful kid, excited. He's from Georgia. Georgia football is the best in the country, in my opinion. Super excited about that. That being said, I'm going to bring in my good friend Nevadabuck. Nevada, how are you today?
I'm doing great. This is I love this running back edition and love talking about the running back position. It's getting a lot of attention here at Ohio State. This year we've learned not to take anything for granted, and this looks like this could be our guy for 2023, and that's a pretty exciting development.
Yeah, he's out of Douglasville, Georgia, South Paulding High School. He is a kid that, I think he's under the radar. He's a kid that will probably get the Buckeye bump now that he's likely to be Ohio State's running back. Will probably finishes a mid to high 4-star. Really good kid. But talk a little bit about some of his background. He's got 2,000 yards on the season in 6A Georgia football, which is big time football. 9 yards a carry, 29 touchdowns. Still grinding along. But tell me a little bit about his background, Nevada, and why you're excited about his addition to our recruiting class.
Well, people don't know this, or I shouldn't say it's not commonly known, but he's got a background from he's from Ohio. He's an Ohio kid that moved down to Georgia, and he's actually got a childhood relationship that goes back to none other than Jamarion Williams. So him and Jamarion Williams, apparently knew each other back when they were little. And they remind me of each other in terms of their build and their power and the way that they run and their attitude. And the interesting thing about Wilcox is he went through and was going his junior year. I thought he was a little bit slow. His feet were a little bit heavy, and really redefined his diet, redefined his workout regimen, and really committed himself physically to not just being just an athlete going out there, but a finely developed athlete. And the difference is palpable. Like you can see, he's noticeably quicker, he's noticeably stronger, and I think that's why he was, I think severely underrated by the rating services. I know a lot of the rating services agree with me on this, but he's a guy that kind of came in there, wasn't highly ranked, and now we're looking at him, and he's going to get the Buckeye bump. But I think it's everything. It's about his improvement from his junior to his senior year. And you can see it on the film when you watch him play. He's just a joy to watch run, and he's really an exciting player.
Yeah, and we're going to get right into his film right now. This is actually from this past Friday. He's number 1. He's the tailback here. Gets it, physical kid, puts his head down, 10 yards. Literally no hole, no daylight, just burrows through. Again, he's a physical kid, gets the corner here. And again, this is Georgia football. This isn't bad ball in Florida, bad ball in other states. Like Georgia football is good football, talented football. Obviously, we've gotten kids like Von Bell, Raekwon McMillan, Bradley Roby, Cam Hayward. We've gotten some great players out of Georgia, and again, some of these kids, I always caution guys because everyone's like, oh well, they get into stargazing, and I'm like, some of these kids, they come in with this chip on their shoulder and they end up being like Jamarion Williams. Jamarion Williams has probably been our best running back this year. He's been really physical. He's been tough. This kid's tough. He's a really good pass protector. He's physical at that, which is important. He runs in an offense very similar to what Ohio State does. Empty set right here. We run a lot of these horizontal runs. He's a shifty guy. He's tough. Nevada, you've seen a few clips so far. What do you like about Jamarion Wilcox that you've seen thus far? This little breakaway for you. Film.
Well, I mean, I just like the fact that he runs with power, he runs low, he runs with great balance. And, I, you look at some of these smaller running backs, I just think these smaller running backs, especially behind these big lines, just create they just add that extra dimension of, it's hard to see them when they get down low and they play with that great leverage. It's just hard to see them behind the line. They can kind of pick their hole. He's got all the attributes that you want. He's got the speed, he's got the power, he's got the elusiveness. I just think he's a terrific running back. He can catch the ball, he can run with the ball. He's a willing blocker, smart kid. So again, I think he checks all the boxes for me. And I think if Ohio State's as excited about him as I understand that they are, and I understand that Tony Alford has kind of gone to bat with him based upon what he's done his junior year. I mean, excuse me, based on what he's done his senior year, and he's kind of pounding the table for him. I'm excited about the offer, and I think he would, like I said, would be a great add to the class, and certainly make up for any of the bad feelings we have from losing Fletcher.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that this kid's. If I'm this kid, if I'm in this kid's shoes, I have to use the fact that I didn't get offered until almost Thanksgiving of my senior year as motivation. I mean, obviously, he was not their first choice. They wanted Richard Young, they wanted Baxter, they wanted Fletcher. I mean, they've offered about 10 other running backs before they got to this kid. So, I think that he's got to use that as a chip on his shoulder because he clearly was a guy that they thought they could wait on. His offer sheet looks like he could because I mean his next best offer is Kentucky. So, they gotta hit it out of the park with this kid. I mean, I think that that's a big concern. When we wanted to take two running backs in this class, here's a nice breakaway by him, and we end up taking a kid that we didn't offer until Thanksgiving. But sometimes those kids turn out to be your best players. I mean, sometimes you'll take a guy like Richard Young and he might not pan out. There's a lot of these guys that I've seen over the years that have been heralded guys. Kareem Walker was a guy that was the number one overall running back. He committed to Ohio State around the national championship, when we beat Oregon, and and you literally never heard from him again. He went to Michigan, I think, went to Florida, just turned into a fat turd. And that happens a lot with running backs where these kids, they're heralded, they're hyped, they get to, Derek Green was a guy that was like that. He was from Virginia, diehard Ohio State fan. I coached him, at youth camp when he came to Ohio State. Looked like LaDainian Tomlinson, was a fantastic runner, but he got to college and he just stunk. Some of these guys, they think it's going to be easy. They get popped a few times. They're kind of on a pedestal, and it's interesting to see a kid like this who's likely going to be hungry. This kid wasn't handed anything. This is a kid that again he had to work for that Ohio State offer. He had to have some things break his way. And he might end up being better than the other guys. He's going to be in a system where, in Ohio State, if we recruit receivers that are what they should be, you're not going to see loaded boxes. You're going to see clear boxes. You're going to have good offensive lines. You're going to be able to be productive and not be, kind of that entire offense kind of deal where, you're not going to be like Derrick Henry is with the Titans, where he's got to carry the ball 40 times a game for them to be able to win a game. So I'm excited about this kid. I mean, God, Nevada, are you worried about our depth at running back at this point? Because we I think, with Trey coming back, and Dallin and Pryor, coming off the ACL, and Mines, I don't think there's much of a chance that he's going to come back next year. But do you worry about the depth in the running back room at all? Or are you good with the four guys, counting him, that we're going to have going into spring next year?
Yeah, I'm pretty okay. I like I said, I think we're fine. I think we've got first world problems when we got guys like Dallin Hayden that we can just kind of roll out there. I mean, I saw Michigan's backup running backs go against Illinois this week, and they're trash. I mean, they were just bad. And you roll something like Dallin Hayden out there, and he does a more than incredible job. Does a terrific job for Ohio State. And he's your third string guy. So I think we've got plenty of we've got plenty of depth. Evan Pryor, from all accounts, is coming along well in terms of rehab, and there's the surgeries and the physical rehabilitations for those injuries are so much better than they were 10 and 15 years ago. And people forget how good he was in the spring game. I mean, he was absolutely electric in the spring game. So, I'm not as worried, but I'd feel a lot better if we had this guy. I remember when Mine Williams committed to Ohio State and was kind of met with a collective, ho hum. Nobody really gave a hoot about the guy, and he's turned out to be one of my all time favorites. So I could see a similar trajectory for this young man, and again, the fact that he's an Ohio kid and actually has a connection to Mayan just makes it kind of like perfect symmetry for me, and it just makes it feel like it's just meant to be.
Yeah, I think him being dominant in Georgia football, he leads 6A in rushing with over 2,000 yards. I think that helps. Him being from Ohio, going to Georgia, dominating. That's the thing about running backs is they better be dominant in high school, because if they're not dominant in high school, if they're 30 carries for 100 yards in high school, they're not going to be able to dominate at a place like Ohio State, going against the Michigans and the Georgias and the Bamas that we need to be able to beat to win a national title. But I think you're right. I think there's something to some of these guys that are, they're the quote unquote afterthoughts. They're the guys that are late bloomers, because I think these guys, they come in and they run hard and they have a chip on their shoulder. And, if you just watch the film of Mayan and Trey, one was a 5-star offer by everybody and one wasn't. And you just watch the film, you can't really tell which one's which. So, I think that there's something to, the guys that are the Pat Elf lines, and the guys that come in and they end up having great careers and they're unheralded. Michael Thomas, there's just so many guys like that. Even Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't nearly as heralded as he should have been. I think he was a 4-star, should have been the number 1 receiver in the country, maybe the number 1 player in the country. But he's turned, once everybody gets signed up and they show up to camp and they do what they got to do, then you get to see the separation and you can see who the real players are. Because the thing I tell people about recruiting is I don't get excited about these kids until they get to college and they prove they can handle college. Because some of these guys, they get to college and they think it's like spring break and they go out every night and they party and they don't go to class and their work habits fall out and they're not productive on the field, and it just turns into an absolute monstrosity. And I saw that happen over and over again when I played, when I coached. So you just never know with these kids. And this is a kid that I like that he is offered late. I think he's gonna have a chip on his shoulder. I love how he runs. He's tough. He's hard. He's playing great competition in Georgia. So there's a lot to like about Jamarion Wilcox. Nevada, any final thoughts on this kid as we wrap this episode up about our likely commitment in the 2023 class at running back?
No, I just hope we get him. I really do hope we get him. I know, we can talk about offers, we can talk about competition, we can talk about all these things, but he checks every box for me. And I just, you get a feeling that after having done this for so long, you just get a feeling about certain kids. And I just have a feeling this kid could be special for Ohio State, and I'd really love to have him part of the class. And hopefully that happens sooner than later.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that he's going to be in the mix. I'm sure he'll be at the Michigan game. The Michigan game is shaping up to be maybe the biggest recruiting weekend we've ever had, so that'll be huge. But yeah, I'm excited about his where he's headed. And him, a kid like this getting an opportunity that a week ago he didn't have, and I think he'll take advantage of it. I think he's going to do really well. And again, I love watching his film. He's a pile driver. He's a tough kid. He's a great blocker. I mean, the films of him in pass protection are just as impressive as his long runs. And I know that doesn't sound as exciting to people that are listening to this, but you have to be able to pass block in Ryan Day's offense. If you can't pass block, you're not going to play. So that's a prerequisite to what we do with as much 6-man protection as we do. You have to be able to block a linebacker. Sometimes you have to be able to block a defensive end, which is really, really tough. But if you're a tough physical dude, like an Ezekiel Elliott, Ezekiel's one of the best pass blockers in NFL history. And that started at Ohio State, and it started with the mandate that Urban Meyer used to have, that you have to be able to block to play for him as a receiver or a running back. There's no divas in that offense, and that's carried over with Tony Alford and Ryan Day, and I think it's going to be really important for this kid, and I think he's going to have a great future. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this thing up. We've got a bunch of content that we have to get done. We've got some big-time stuff coming this week, guys. We have a ton of Michigan stuff. I mean, we're breaking down the games. We're going to break down the 06 game. We have some crazy stuff coming. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like. We appreciate you. If you've not subscribed yet, please click subscribe. Click the little bell. You get the alerts every time we post. Big time stuff. We love doing it with you guys. Comment, who does he remind you of? He's a tough kid. He's a tank. Reminds me of Clinton Portis, honestly. I think he looks explosive, fast, tough, really good player, kind of does it all. So let me know who you think. Do you see J.K. Dobbins? I don't know. I mean, I like these short, squatty, fast guys like J.K. They end up being a big-time issue for teams, and J.K. is as good as we've had over the last 15 years. He's right up there with Zeke, and he's a guy that he's had some injuries, but he's a fantastic player, and he's a fantastic Buckeye. So let me know what you think in the comments. We appreciate you guys, as always. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. Guys, we got to beat Michigan this week. Log on to BuckeyeScoop.com. If you haven't joined, it's the spot. #1 website by all analytics at this point. Board is just crazy active. I can't describe how active it is. I can't keep up with it, but it's really fun that it's like that because our content has been really good. Bill Greene's been killing it. Nevadabuck. We've got a ton of stuff coming for Michigan Week, so hope you guys are good. Appreciate you guys as always. You guys have a great rest of your day. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks. Beat Michigan.